Hey guys, it's Dequas. So today, what I thought I would talk about is not exactly a new game, but it's one I've been really enjoying at the moment. So I thought I would do a quick review plus a short kind of like guide slash tips for the game. That's aimed at people that have played a game like this kind of style before, like an RPG kind of style game before, so it's not really a complete noob guide. I notice a lot of the guides online are either like really basic or they start getting into R&D and talking about like percentage chance rolls and like hidden stats and stuff like that, which is not really what I'm into and not really my jam. So I thought I'd make something like the everyman gamer kind of guide. And I'll leave timestamps in the description if you want to skip the kind of review of the game straight to the guide. Fire Emblem Three Houses, I kind of brought this game, as I do most games, without looking into it much, just mainly out of pure love of like the franchise, the Fire Emblem franchise in this case. This game is made in a very similar style to almost all members of the franchise. But if you haven't really played the Fire Emblem game before, or you haven't played anything like Final Fantasy Tactics or Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, you might not really have played this game style, which is a tactical role-playing. For those who don't know what this looks like, it's split up into two main things, combat and classes. The class system is where you have characters such that are warriors or thieves or mages as their class, and they build weapon proficiencies and learn skills as they progress into more advanced versions of these classes that are more and more specialized. The combat is a turn-based style where your team moves and then your opponent teams move, but this is laid out into a grid square map-based system. And it has all the normal kind of D&D style stuff where people have different movements, different attacks, different stats that affect the characters in different ways. I'm going to say that if you don't like this style of game, or this kind of game doesn't appeal to you, then this game isn't really for you. Personally, I love playing a game like this because it's all about planning and all about strategy. And I really enjoy how you can customize your teams, and you can really come up with your own team combinations and play whatever team combination you would like, and it really affects how the fights play out and how the game plays out, which I absolutely love. I also really enjoy the strategy in a real-time component of it, whereas it's not just, pre-planning. In the battle, things change and you have to plan on, kind of strategize on the go and change your decisions based on things, which I really enjoy. Also, one thing that the Fire Emblem series has had as part of it for a long time, and same with the Final Fantasy Tactics series, is it has a permadeath kind of component, that if you lose a unit, if they die in a battle, you lose them forever, which is really kind of cool because you have to think about keeping units alive, or maybe if on certain difficulties, maybe you need to sacrifice someone, but you're going to lose all that time training them, which is something I absolutely adore about this game. So it really makes you think about unit placement, like, you have to build lines of defense. Archers can shoot distances, but they're also vulnerable, so you need some form of defensive characters. All those kind of things really play into it, especially if you're going to play on something like Maddening, which Fire Emblem has. To this game more specifically, I'm going to start with one of the reasons a lot of people love this franchise, and that is the art design / graphics. And it is fabulous. All the characters look beautiful, and the outfits for the different classes are amazing. And in general, the map creation is really well done. And there are some beautiful cutscenes that you can kind of see on screen at the moment, which is just absolutely so well drawn. They really created an awesome environment for the game. Now, if you're like me and that doesn't really make you want to play a game alone, Anthem, then what else is there that makes me really enjoy this game? Now, this is a weird selling point. If, like me, most of your life is quite busy, I really enjoy this game because you can kind of sit down and you don't need to sink a lot of time into a single session of playing it, which is kind of a little bit different for a lot of RPGs in that regard. Like, I don't really feel like I have to spend 3 hours to achieve something when I'm playing Fire Emblem. It's one of those games that has a really good kind of, more casual gamer kind of style to it, where you can sit down and play almost like for half an hour sometimes and finish actually feel like you've achieved something, which I really enjoy because, busy work week, I can come home and play half an hour before I have to start doing some work, and I feel like I've actually progressed somewhere in the game. I think a playthrough on hard only took me 50 hours in total, and that was pretty in-depth playthrough, so you can pretty much smash it out, especially on easy in quite a short period of time. Most of the battles in the game probably take, early game, 9 rounds. I did some of the battles on maddening in, so like not a lot of time at all. As you get late game, especially on the hard difficulty, some of them take you quite some time, but still most of the time less than an hour kind of time frame, which is really good. Of course, the Switch console also helps with this fact, because while looking at the TV, it's a lot better. The quality is, upscaled to that better graphics level, which makes it a little bit more clear and a little bit more crisp. But in the handheld, this game's really well suited to it. So it's like perfect for going on the train, tram, bus, carriage, Pegasus ride to work. Now, this game has a couple of additions to the normal format of its style, which I really thought were quite valuable and really useful, and kind of made the game a little bit more user-friendly, especially for the more inexperienced players. And one of those is a rewind. So you start with only like 1 or 2, but as you do certain things in the storyline / earning game points, from like building a renowned kind of system, you can buy more of these. You can kind of rewind time, whether it's back a single moment almost, or which all the way back at the start of the game. It counts the same amount of your rewound, so it can be really valuable and really useful in that way. Be honest, I would have loved them to have added some form of removing of this, like, a challenge mode where you couldn't have done this, but I guess you can kind of self-inflict that. But having said that, I'm playing on maddening right now, and I can tell you right now, I do not want to self-inflict that, because maddening is hard enough without not being able to rewind time. But with the permadeath kind of component to this, which is the classic format of the game, I really find that the game really makes you think a lot, and I've really, really enjoyed that aspect of this game. In particular with how they built the classes. Like, they're really versatile, and they each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you really do have to think a lot about the way you place units and use that kind of aspect. One kind of criticism I would have of the game, though, is that even playing classic, which is permadeath on hard, and it is quite an easy game at times, so as you get better and further through the game and more experienced at using the combat style, there aren't that many battles that would truly challenge you. Don't get me wrong, there are some battles, even the more experienced players I think would agree that they are quite challenging, like some of the towards the end battles are quite hard, and there's a couple other points where there are some particular fights that are quite bad. Hard, that does change a little bit on maddening. As I said, I haven't actually finished a maddening playthrough yet. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I only kind of picked up the maddening recently. I originally only played through on hard. I played through on hard twice. And now I am giving maddening a go, which definitely does up the difficulty and make you think a little bit more, which is good, especially if you're doing maddening without New Game Plus like I am. The other major criticism is that there's a lot of conversations. So if you kind of watch the video footage that's playing as I'm kind of talking, that I've kind of taken from the game, at the moment I'm kind of going through what you do during your weekends off, which is all these different, kind of like character building / a couple of really important things we'll talk about a little bit in the guide section. But one of the things that, as part of that, is like support conversations, and it's just so much talking. And some of the storyline is kind of funny and hilarious. I'm laughing every now and again. Some of it's, kind of interesting, getting to know characters. But other of them, are just painful. You don't really care. Of course, you can skip it, but you never know until the end of whether it's actually important storyline-wise or not. Sometimes, like talking to an annoying shy character who doesn't want to leave their room, sometimes can just seem painful and annoying. And this can take a lot of time. I honestly think sometimes I spend more time on my weekend off walking around, in-game weekend off, obviously, walking around and talking to people who are actually in battle, which can be annoying, and on the harder difficulties you have to do it, though otherwise you just won't be strong enough for the battle kind of phase. But one of the things I do like, and it's kind of tied to this, is that a character can literally be anything. Like, your imagination is the sky in this game. I absolutely love that. A character might kind of be geared towards being a particular kind of class, because that's what their storyline tells them. But you can go solid. I'm gonna make them a, you know, maybe they're holding a sword at the start of the game and they're all talking about how they like love sword play, but do you know what? You don't want them to be a sword. They're a mage. You can do that, but there's nothing in the game that really stops you, and minimally that actually hinders you. Like, I'm not gonna get into it in too much detail, but characters do have like kind of like affinities for abilities and weapon deficiencies, but you can grind through that really easily. I think overall the game mechanics is really good, and they didn't mess around too much of what they used in the previous great games, such as Birthright, which I absolutely adore as a game. And I really liked they didn't shoehorn you into classes like they did a little bit in Fates, Professor? Which I kind of really didn't like that much as a game. You know what I mean? Fight me. The gameplay itself starts off slow, but I believe really becomes enjoyable. I would recommend this game so much, like so much. I do have a caveat, and that would be that I wouldn't recommend playing on anything that isn't hard or classic, even if you're kind of a noob. I really just feel like it adds so much to the game playing classic hard. Like, I mean, you can play classic normal as well if you want, but like, the best thing about the game is the thinking. So like, it's all about making you think, and that's one of the major reasons I'd really pump this game up, and I really like it. So yeah, repping it. Okay, now to tips. I'm gonna be honest, and I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but unless we're talking about Pokemon, I'm not the kind of guy that would that's gonna build a spreadsheet and look at hidden stats and how they affect crit chances and that kind of way. I'm kind of like, I'm a face value kind of player, and that's how I kind of take things. And I think, you know, a lot of the people that spend so much time building these huge spreadsheets, looking at this kind of stuff, like working out the math, like that's not my kind of jam. Like, as I kind of said before, and I honestly feel like it's not that much valuable. Like, even on the harder difficulties in this game, I've been doing extremely well so far in maddening with my kind of style. Maybe that's going to change. You know, maybe you'll be seeing a video from me when I'm finished maddening going, oh my god, you have to R&D this, but I really doubt it. They don't really make that many games where you do have to R&D things, so like, yeah. And I don't really feel like, I feel like it takes a little bit away from the game if you're R&Ding. Especially the people that talk about cheesing things, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of doing maddening if you're going to cheese things? I mean, like, it's not really the point. I do have a caveat to that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There is one semi-cheese, and I don't really think it's that big a cheese that I do like doing, and we'll talk about that when it comes up to it. So my first kind of tip / guide for playing this game is, I'm going to say straight out that most of these tips are only for hard classic or / maddening classic, because like, legit on easy, you almost can't lose. Like, you have to be pretty, like, trying almost to lose. I mean, especially when you consider, especially if you're playing this on like the Black Eagles, like Edelgard, and you just combo, kind of just crush everything on the easy difficulties. So like, it's not really a thing. But my real like kind of first tip is that, you know, forward thinking on these difficulties is definitely needed. Like, you need to kind of think about what story you want to create for your characters. You know, like people on guides will talk about, you know, oh, blah 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 has all the right stats for this class kind of thing, but personally I'm just more about, you know, it's kind of like pick the class that you want that character to be, what you kind of story you want to create for them if you want to do it like me. I love creating like that headcanon kind of idea where, you know, oh, you know, Bernadetta's all shy but she's like a, you know, pro archer and loves horses, so she could be a bow knight, like suits her character, like that kind of thing. Like, you know, Petrol is on a like little island kind of style thing, so get her on a dragon so she can fly around. It kind of suits her kind of character in my head, kind of thing. And that's kind of what I would say is like, you want to plan out your character, really forward think for them, for their end game class, their master class. But I would say that some classes this is really, really easy for, and some classes are a little bit more difficult. Like ones that in particular that I think you really need to forward plan for are male mages, because they don't have access to the pure magic master class. So they need to become knight mages, which means you need to think about lancing and horse riding. And for some of them, the horse riding in particular, which needs to be an A class, is going to be a massive grind. So, you know, I mean, C for a lance, C for any class skill is kind of like, get it, no problems at all. But you do have to grind for for that, and that's one area I would really say that you need to forward think. I think the other person I would say that you kind of have to think about, majorly think about forward planning, is you as a character, or I'm kind of boxing you a little bit, or any other character that's a sword only user, or even a sword. Yeah, I'm gonna say sword only. I mean, sword bow kind of class is a little bit different. If you want to go pure bow, obviously there's a category for that, which is in the same kind of category as mages, where you need to get a horse riding up to A and a lance up to C. But like that assassin or sword master class needs a bit of like a lot of forward planning, to be honest, or just giving up on master classes. Which I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. A lot of people talk a lot about this, about stat growth, and master classes are not worth it. You know, they're garbage, all been lied to online. But personally, I mean, I'm more of like the storyline kind of a guy, and I really think that, you know, in your storyline, the master class is like the end of their progression of character. So for characters like you, who, I mean, kind of should be using the sword storyline, spoilers withholding, other than your storyline-based master class, most of the sword-based classes are kind of garbage. Like, Mortal Savant, you need an A in Magic, and like, to get an A in Reason Magic for a class that can't choose Magic. So you can't use Magic as a Sword Master, or as an Assassin, or as any of their leading things, so you can't level it in battle, so you'd just be spammed either tutoring it for a character like, you know, Felix or something, but for you, you'd have to be spending so much of your daily energy going to go see like one of the like teachers to level up your magic. It's just ridiculous. So it requires a lot of forward thinking if you want to go down that kind of path. Or you could just leave character in spoiler class, which is kind of fine. In my opinion, I don't mind the spoiler class. It's not too bad. The last kind of forward thinking class thing I want to give you a tip around is that when you are forward thinking to those end game classes, there is a slight thing I would say is that I've been caught up on a couple of times on, is the advanced classes was the tier before that. Most of them only need a B in like their skills that are leading them up to their master class. That is not the case, however, for the specialty advanced classes that are just one skill. So we're talking about sword only, fists only, bow only, reason only, which is, you know, damage magic, and faith only, which is your healing magic. All of them need an A. Now, I didn't ever have a problem with my brawler or any of my mages on that regard, but I did for my sword users again, because most of my sword users I was also using a bow with, you know, Felix, my main character on one of my playthroughs. Those kind of characters, I generally give a bow as well, because I got pretty good stats, such affinity to that, and it kind of works well with them, you know, as well. They use a sword against an archer or a mage, so use a bow against another sword user kind of style playthrough. So that's one class that needs a bit of extra forward thinking. And there's this annoying one I find, and I actually really don't like this. Is one of the class things I don't like, is I love flying units. They're so good. They look so good in the game. They're so valuable tactically. But they have a little annoying thing. Well, obviously male, honestly I think if you're playing a male you can play a male flying unit, but it's just annoying, and just, you know, you have to spend a bit of time as a cavalier or something and waste all that proficiency in horse riding or something like that. But is that there's obviously an intermediate, an advanced, and a master flying class. But unfortunately, the intermediate and the advanced skills don't match up. So there are two master classes, one that uses axes, one that uses spears. Spears. And they don't match up. So the I'm gonna hopefully get this the right way around off the top of my head, but the advanced class is the dragon rider rather than the falcon rider. You know, and they use an axe, which matches up with the master dragon rider kind of class. That's obviously not what they're called. I mean, it's Pegasus Rider and Pegasus Knight, and then for the life of me right now, I cannot remember the name of the other one. Probably should have written a script of some form. But obviously the Pegasus is the intermediate, and then is the lance. But then you have to spam train axe to B to get yourself into that advanced flying class, which is a bit of a pain. So for characters like Petra it's not a problem, the bigger problem, because she already has that axe affinity. So if you want to get her there, that's fine. But characters like Ingrid or Flame or someone like that, you do need to do some forward thinking to get that axe up there. So like the C for the Lance for the first class is not going to be the issue. Petra's going to get that low level skill for the Lance to get into the original Falcon class, no problem. But Ingrid's going to struggle to get that axe up to a B. Like above C+, C++ kind of area, it starts getting hard to spam tutoring. So it needs a bit of forward planning. Having said that, there's nothing stopping you dropping Ingrid back down to a Cavalier or something and then dropping back up to a flying unit. I mean, once again, only thing that ever stopped me from doing that is I didn't agree with it. Headcanon character-wise, it's not really anything gameplay that would stop you other than having to build the horse riding up to a B.
I swear not to.
There are some characters that's not a problem with because their character likes horses. Still wouldn't take you that much time to do it all. Yeah, which I mean can give you a bit of a struggle mid-game in those kind of classes. It's kind of annoying to level sometimes. I mean, there was a lot of rambling about classes about forward thinking. I think a lot of noob guides will say pick your master class and just work on the skills. And it's almost always true, however, as I said, you have those caveats with the sword, mage, fist, bow kind of users, and like... And also, as I said, sometimes the master classes are just huge skill jumps, like, you know, like, I mean, for example, like the knight, you have a knight and a cavalier, and then the horse riding, I mean, they're all on horses, but the, like, knight style is great knight, and suddenly you need to get this A in heavy armor you didn't need before, which can be really annoying, plus, like, an axe skill, and there's not really, I mean, unless you want to make them a... But then, like, the other options are you get an A in one of the magic classes, which, I mean, if you've picked, Dimitri's team, obviously there's a bit of back kind of help there with getting your two knights some magic up. For some other people, especially for the Black Eagles, there's not really any, like, Ferdinand or wherever his name is doesn't really have any proficiency in spells, so it can be really annoying to get there. Yeah, which is my personal kind of view on the whole thing. So, I mean, now we're going to kind of get into me picking a fight a little bit with some other people's opinions I've seen online. And we're going to kind of talk about the skill system in the game. So, obviously, I mean, like, I'm not, without going into too much of a detail on it, because I don't want to a noob kind of video kind of thing in that regard, is that, you know, there are passive skills and active skills in a way. Like, you know, passive active abilities like in D&D, but in this one they call battle arts and abilities. And so, like, a lot of people online will talk about, oh, this ability is the most amazing ability ever, and there's a lot of conversation about that. But, you know, personally, I'm more of a, kind of at face value without looking at base stats. And a lot of abilities are like these percentage chance kind of styles, like where, you know, if your character is on 1/3 health, or, you know, the battalion's on 1/3, and then you have like your stat of some form, like dexterity kind of percentage chance increases your critical hit or something like that kind of style. And I'm really not, I think, like, you know, people ramp them up too high. And so we're going to kind of go through a little bit on, like, because in the game there's class mastery, which if you didn't already know, you kind of like, you know, when you get to the enough experience in a class, you get a bonus ability. And so a lot of people online will talk about, you know, oh, don't stay in your class long enough, skip straight to your advanced class, because, you know, it gives you your growth rate boost, and that means you get better chances of getting stat bonus, an extra stat point and different stat points. So a little bit of detail on that is, like, basically you have a growth rate, which is a percentage chance on leveling up of getting a plus in that stat. You have a base rate for that, and then each class has an additional amount on that, and certain classes have better ones and different stats. And so, like, a lot of people say don't waste the time mastering because you want to get to the better stat growth for your levels. Now, I'm going to say straight up now, that is not true for maddening. For maddening, you get such little XP versus how much more mastery skill you get towards this class, that, to be honest, and I'll kind of, if I make a maddening video, I'll explain a little bit more about that, but you can kind of do a little thing where you just kind of force a character to master without getting any XP, and if I do make a maddening video, I'll definitely go into it, but it's a, you know, you basically let yourself get hit, you get 2 points towards mastery, and then you heal them up kind of idea when you got less enemies around, or even generally, like, you know, certain characters kind of do really well with it. You give them a bow, they can kill someone with a bow, but then they get attacked by somebody and they've got a good dodge chance with an iron bow kind of. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. As I said, if I make a maddening video, I'll definitely talk about that. So that's not really what I want to talk about now, but, like, when you master certain classes, people are like, oh, second to get to level 5, get out of the noble and commoner class. Like a lot of things I heard a lot of people on guides say, which I completely disagree with. I literally couldn't disagree with something that I've heard about the classes more strongly. If you master noble and commoner class, you get a plus 5 HP ability, which I can tell you right now has saved my life on maddening all of the time, and even on hard quite a lot early game. Like, it's such a lifesaver early game for not really that much time extra spent in the class. I mean, there are other really like there are some classes I 100% agree with. Like, don't bother with the mastery. Anything that gives you like a breaker. So, like, there's Tomb Breaker, Sword Breaker, Axe Breaker, which all give you bonus damage against certain weapon types. I'm like, why? Mostly because they're, like, pointless. It's like, why do I want a Sword Breaker? If I'm fighting someone with a sword, I'm going to use a ranged attack anyway, because I planned and I did the proper strategy, so I don't need someone an Axe wielder to have Sword Breaker, because I'm never going to use an Axe wielder against a Sword Breaker kind of idea. I mean, Tomb Breaker was the worst one for a brawler. Like, brawlers already wreck people with magic. Often hit them 4 times. If you need the extra bonus, you've done something wrong. But some classes I really like what they've got. Like a lot of the beginner classes have a +2 in a stat. And once again, this is a permanent +2. You always have +2 dexterity. Always have +2 strength. You always have +2 defense. Like, that's a permanent buff. None of this percentage kind of chance title. Like, it's just, in my opinion, just on pure face value. How much time would you have to spend at below 1/3 health to get the same across an entire battle bonus as you do on these 1/3 abilities? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, do you not have healers that can heal you back up? Like, why are you leaving a character on that? If you're leaving a character on that on maddening too often, you just be dead. Like, it's just, you know, there'd be a bow knight that can shoot half the map, or, I mean, late game, even on hard, like, there are mages that can literally just constantly cast spells the entire map. You'd be dead. It's just silly, in my opinion. So, like, most of the classes I would just skip, unless, I mean, the beginner classes are really good. Archer, which is an intermediate class, gets a +20 hit with a bow, and I mean, no explanation needed, that's really, really good. The only percentage chance one that I would really rep is Assassin class gets a lethality, which is essentially, Occam's Razor from, Skyrim, but a little bit better chance. So it's like it triggers at dexterity by 4% chance, and most of your assassin class characters will have a huge dexterity. The other reason I rep that is on the main character, Blythe. So a lot of guides talk about this, and I kind of agree somewhat, is maybe just leave him once he's high enough level in assassin class. I mean, you're not getting the growth rate anyway, because he's not really leveling up that much, and the assassin class has got some good, like, it's got the assassin ability, top of lethality, plus some good bow. Then he's got this ability that makes him hard to hit as well. So, like, and that's like a class ability, so it doesn't take up one of your 5 slots, which is pretty good. I really like that. I mean, dark mages have poison strike, which is like a bonus damage, just blatant bonus damage, is really good. Mage is kind of worth it as well. You get the bonus magic,
Impressive. Nice work.
which is kind of good. Priests have the one that I'm kind of on the fence about, which is Miracle, which is like, you know, sturdy from Pokemon. You have a percentage chance of, you know, surviving on 1 HP from a lethal blow. I mean, if you're a lucky kind of guy, definitely go with it. If you're like me, you know, I mean, just, most of the advanced classes, I'm going to say almost all of them are not worth it. Except for Fortress Knight. Obviously, Assassin, we already talked about lethality, and Paladin. So, Fortress Knight and Paladin both have a similar kind of style ability. They're called Argus or Aegis or whatever you want to pronounce it. And Pavis. I don't know, anyway. Pronunciation, not a strong point of mine. Whoop. From my opinion, I'm 100% top 2 abilities in the game. Calling it right here, saying it right now. Basically, depending on which one it is, it's activated. It halves the damage of particular types. So, I mean, like, I think one of them is, like, magic and bows, and the other one's, like, swords and axes and lances. I can't remember which one's which. I mean, you can go to Wiki and find that out for you. But, half damage is incredibly awesome, like, amount of damage, which is so good. And they have a really good percentage chance hit. Like, they're both dex rolled, which is really good, so just really good, cool. And just so huge. So huge. Especially against, like, beasts and stuff like that. Yeah. So only two things I want to massively mention about mastering classes is really that, you know, the other one is archers. I mean, some of them have like special battle arts you get, and most of them are really trash. But there are two that I really like. One's on the grappler, or is it? Yeah, which is like a can be really useful. And the other one is on the archer class, which is hunter volley, which gives you that I mean, the hunter volley one's a bit of a weird one again. Like the two are a little bit like kind of like, you know, pick and yeah. So the grappler gets like unarmed combat, so you can use like without having a weapon, which can be really useful if you don't want to deteriorate weapons, but you're obviously going to kill someone, which I kind of like using. But then if you're staying in a War Master class, you get it anyway, so it's kind of like a double-edged thing. You know what I mean? So like you don't actually need it if you're staying as a fist fighter, which is why that one's not kind of really worth it. Hunter volley gives you a second shot, but you have to stay in the sniper class. So once again, if you're moving out of that class, you lose it, just like the one you get from the assassin, which is the lethality, the assassinate ability. But hunter volley, you don't lose the ability, unlike the assassin. You keep the ability, it just doesn't give you a second shot. But it does give you an increase of 15 crit on that attack. And I'd be lying if I hadn't told you that on hard a couple of times Bernadetta's pulling off that crit has not saved me against a mage or something like that. Like, it's true. I mean, like, bows are a boss. Like, just saying that right now, if I do a minding guide, I'll be raving about bows left, right, and center. But even in any other difficulty, bows are boss. Like, bow knights can shoot so far and just wreck battles, change so much for you. It's just so good. Just bows are boss. Bows are king. Life Taker is another one from Dark Bishop. Just like dark magic, OP. So strong, but so hard. Like, unlike bow knights, you can just give anyone a bow and they're a boss. Dark magic, only certain characters can use dark magic, and then to transgress, like move through the dark magic chain, you need dark seals. The only way to get them is to kill the Death Knight, and he's hard to kill on harder difficulties, is nearly impossible. But Life Taker is just a good ability. I mean, like, and kind of self-explanatory in its name. I mean, I kind of talked about classes a little bit longer than I was expecting. I kind of went on a bit of a rant there. I mean, other than classes, the only real thing I would say is a major tip, and most of the guys will talk about this, is like increasing your professor level as fast as you can. Like, I think I'm getting better at it. There are people that are better than me, but like, I was like chapter 4 and I was C. Yeah, I think 4 or 5 and I was C. Like, you can do it quickly, like explore a lot, like don't do too many battles. Like, people go like obviously battles needed for XP, but like also sometimes the battles are wasted on the easier difficulties, like because you haven't got the proficiencies you need to get to the next class anyway, like, and you're just wasting XP. And on top of that, like, kind of like the second you get to a certain level, you start getting 2 battle points. So like, you can, if you had to save that time and not battle then, next time you do battle, you could have done that battle anyway because you've got your professor level up, kind of idea. So like, don't waste XP fighting when you don't have anywhere to go with that XP, like they've mastered their class and they can't even get to the next one because they don't have the weapon proficiencies. Not so much of an issue on maddening, I can tell you that right now, not been an issue on maddening. XP is like definitely needed, but also professor level lets you get more XP because you can attack more, so like double-edged sword. Another major guide on that kind of XP is kind of don't waste XP, is one of the huge mistakes I made my first playthrough is Edelgard and my character, obviously Goliath, killed everything. So I had, honestly, I'm gonna say his name is Caspar. Caspar was still in the noble class like chapter 8 or 9. I'm not even joking. It was embarrassing how low level he was. Because I was just like, no, Belial's gonna kill it. Belial's gonna kill it. Oh, Edelgard will take that one, kind of idea. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people online, like in a lot of those beginner guides, will like, you know, will talk about, oh, fishing is like king, always fish. Oh my god, I hate fishing. I hate fishing so much. I hate fishing in any game I have ever played fishing in, whether it was WoW or whatever we're talking about. I hate fishing. And it's worth like 20, 30 XP if you get it perfect. Like, it's pants XP. Pants. So bad. Yeah, so my second playthrough, I kind of made sure everyone was close to like getting better in their classes or advanced, and it made it so much easier playthrough. I'm gonna say I'm kind of on two minds about this. You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna start another fight. Ignore any guide that says recruit everyone. In my opinion, that is a waste of time. It's annoying conversations you're having with someone that you don't need to have with someone, and most of the time, you can take a maximum of 10 people into a battle, and if you're like, I didn't get to A+ on my last playthrough, but I got to A professor level, and I got to take 3 adjournments, so 13 people, and your adjournments can't fight, so it doesn't even matter who they are really. I would say though that definitely take adjournments and people that are with you on missions when you get adjournments, because it's a really quick way to build rep with them. But also, on maddening, in particular, I think it's really valuable. Certain people, there are different adjournment types. There are defense, sword, and like magic, like a picture of, I don't know what they're actually called, but it's like a sword, green dot that's representing magic, and a shield. Some of the mage ones, in particular, the lady with blue hair from Claude's house, she heals you every now and again as an adjournment, which is such a lifesaver on maddening. So like definitely something worth it. I would say every Sunday that you are exploring, make sure you eat. And that's the one thing I will say about fishing. I do fish because I like getting the fish so I can have a second meal with people. Because you can take 2 people to max motivation, and motivation is king, because it lets you do that spam shooter and I was talking about earlier. And it's probably one of the better XP ways of getting XP. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say. Is that, I mean, like, explore tons, because there's often these little blue lights that give you XP, and, like, honestly, it's just a great game. Like, honestly, I just love the game so much. It's so in-depth, like, so many different levels you can go with it. Really enjoy yourselves. You know, think and battle and strategize and create your own headcanon kind of thing. I mean, I hope you enjoyed me rambling / spitting fire on different people, but I did really love this game, and if you disagree, tell me in the comments. Let's start a fight. Let's start a fight. Let's start a fight.